The universe is almost 14 billion years old. There are planets everywhere. Some are billions of years older than Earth. So if intelligent life has happened before us, where is everyone? Maybe the terrifying answer is not that intelligent life is rare. Maybe civilizations appear all the time. They just don't survive. Think about how much time the universe has had. Our sun formed about 4.6 billion years ago, but stars existed billions of years before that. Planets could have formed around some of those ancient stars long before Earth even existed, which means that somewhere out there another world could have had a massive head start. Not 1,000 years, not 1,000,000 years, potentially billions. Imagine what humanity might become after only another 10,000 years if we survive. Now imagine a civilization that began 10 million years before us. If technological civilizations commonly survive for enormous stretches of time, the universe should contain societies so advanced that their technology would be almost impossible for us to understand. Some might have spread between stars. Some might have built enormous structures. Some might have altered entire planetary systems. Even if only a small fraction of civilizations did this, you might expect the universe to look very different. But when we look into space, we do not see obvious evidence of galaxy-spanning civilizations. We see stars, planets, gas, dust, black holes, and silence. This mystery is often connected to something called the Fermi Paradox. The basic idea is simple. If intelligent civilizations should have had so much time to appear, then why haven't we found convincing evidence of any of them? There are many possible answers. Maybe intelligent life is incredibly rare. Maybe civilizations are hiding. Maybe they communicate in ways we cannot detect. Maybe they have no interest in us. Maybe they are so different that we do not even recognize their technology. But there is another possibility. Something stops them. Somewhere between a lifeless planet and a civilization capable of spreading across the stars, there may be a barrier that almost nobody gets through. Scientists and philosophers sometimes call this idea the Great Filter. Imagine the path to an advanced civilization as a long staircase. First, a planet has to form in the right conditions. Then chemistry somehow has to become life. Life has to survive. Simple cells may have to become complex cells. Complex organisms have to evolve. Some form of intelligence has to appear. That intelligence has to develop language, cooperation, tools, science, and technology. Then eventually it has to become capable of leaving its home world. Any one of these steps could be incredibly unlikely. Maybe the Great Filter is already behind us. Perhaps life itself almost never begins. Maybe simple cells are common, but complex life is extraordinarily rare. Maybe animals are common, but intelligence almost never evolves. If that is true, then humanity may have already passed the hardest part. That would make us incredibly lucky. But there is a darker possibility. What if the Great Filter is still ahead of us? What if civilizations frequently reach approximately the stage we are entering now, and then disappear? Because something strange happens when intelligence becomes powerful enough. For most of life's history, survival depended on adapting to the environment. Run faster, hide better, find food, avoid predators. But eventually intelligence changes the game. A species learns to control fire, then agriculture, then metal, then machines, then electricity, then chemistry, then atoms, then genetics, then computers. Technology gives a civilization extraordinary power, but that power does not automatically come with wisdom, and this creates a dangerous gap. A civilization may become powerful enough to destroy itself long before it becomes wise enough to prevent itself from doing so. Consider nuclear weapons. For most of human history, no individual or government had the ability to destroy cities in seconds. Then, within a tiny slice of historical time, humans learned how to release the energy inside atoms. Suddenly, decisions made by a relatively small number of people could affect millions of lives. And nuclear weapons may only be one example. Future civilizations could develop technologies far more dangerous than ours. Biotechnology might eventually allow organisms to be designed with incredible precision. Artificial intelligence could become extraordinarily powerful. New forms of energy could create risks we cannot currently imagine. And technology does not have to deliberately attack a civilization to become dangerous. Sometimes the danger could come from competition. Imagine two powerful nations developing the same technology. Neither wants to use it recklessly, but neither wants the other side to gain an advantage. So both develop it faster. Safety becomes secondary. Control becomes harder. The technology becomes more powerful, and the civilization slowly enters a situation where one mistake could be catastrophic. There may be another problem. Evolution did not design us to manage planetary civilizations. For most of human existence, our brains were shaped inside small communities. We learned to fear enemies, protect resources, compete for status, defend territory, favor our own group. Those instincts were useful when humans lived in small tribes, but today, the same species possesses nuclear weapons, global communication networks, advanced biotechnology, and increasingly powerful artificial intelligence. Our technology changed much faster than our basic psychology. That mismatch could matter. Maybe every intelligent species eventually reaches this point. Its tools become stronger, its civilization becomes more connected, its decisions affect larger areas. Eventually, the species becomes powerful enough that its greatest threat is no longer predators, disease, or the environment. Its greatest threat becomes itself, and that creates a disturbing possibility. Maybe intelligence has a built-in trap. At first, intelligence makes survival easier. It helps an organism predict danger, build shelters, develop tools, organize groups, control fire, grow food, but if intelligence keeps increasing, eventually it creates technologies powerful enough to threaten the species that invented them. Maybe intelligence is one of evolution's greatest achievements, and maybe beyond a certain point it becomes one of evolution's greatest mistakes. Now imagine this happening across the universe. A planet forms, life begins, millions or billions of years pass. Eventually something becomes intelligent. It looks at the sky, it asks questions, it develops mathematics, science, machines, perhaps it sends radio signals into space. For a brief moment that planet becomes visible to the universe. Then the civilization reaches its technological adolescence, weapons become more powerful, resources become strained, political systems struggle to keep up, new technologies appear faster than society can understand them, and then something goes wrong. Maybe a war begins, maybe an engineered organism escapes, maybe an automated system makes a catastrophic decision. Maybe environmental damage pushes the planet beyond recovery, maybe it is something we have never imagined. The details could be different every time, but the ending is the same: silence. Then another civilization appears somewhere else, and it repeats the process. Then another, and another. Suddenly the silence of the universe looks completely different. Maybe the galaxy was never empty. Maybe civilizations have risen thousands of times. Maybe there were cities beneath alien skies. Children looked up at unfamiliar constellations. Scientists debated whether life existed elsewhere. Artists painted worlds we will never see. Civilizations created languages, music, religions, machines, and stories. Perhaps some of them even detected Earth when our planet was still covered in primitive life. And then they disappeared. Their buildings collapsed, their satellites fell, their machines stopped transmitting. Millions of years passed. Their planets changed, and eventually almost nothing remained that we would recognize. From our perspective, the universe would look empty, but it might actually be filled with graves. There is something especially unsettling about this idea, because humanity may now be entering the exact stage where the filter would become dangerous. For almost all of human existence, we could not destroy civilization globally. Now we possess weapons capable of unimaginable destruction. We can modify genes. We are developing increasingly powerful artificial intelligence. We are changing the chemistry of our own planet, and future technologies will probably give smaller groups of people access to powers that once required entire nations. Our ability to affect the world keeps increasing. The question is whether our ability to manage that power increases just as quickly. But none of this means humanity is doomed. The Great Filter is an idea, not a discovered law of nature. We do not know that advanced civilizations destroy themselves. We have only one technological civilization available to study. US, there may be countless civilizations that survive this stage. Maybe they learn how to manage dangerous technology. Maybe they build systems that make catastrophic wars less likely. Maybe they spread across multiple planets so that one disaster cannot destroy their entire species. Maybe they become more cooperative. Maybe surviving for millions of years requires civilizations to change in ways we have not yet learned. And maybe that is why we do not see them. Perhaps truly advanced civilizations are quiet, efficient, stable. They may not need to expand aggressively across the galaxy. They may use technology that produces almost no signals we can detect. The silence could mean extinction, but it could also mean maturity. And that may be the most important part of the Great Filter idea. It turns the search for aliens into a question about our own future. When we look into the night sky and see no obvious civilizations, we are not only asking what happened to them, we are asking what happens to civilizations like ours. Does technological intelligence naturally destroy itself? Or can a species reach the point where its wisdom finally catches up with its power? Maybe humanity is not waiting to discover the answer. Maybe we are currently living through the experiment. Every generation before us inherited technologies that were slightly more powerful than the generation before. But somewhere along the way, the stakes changed. Our species began creating tools capable of affecting the entire planet. And from this point forward, survival may depend on more than intelligence. It may depend on restraint, cooperation, long-term thinking, and the ability to control the things we create. Maybe the Great Silence is not telling us that we are alone. Maybe it is telling us that intelligence has a test that begins when a species becomes powerful enough to control its world, but not yet wise enough to control itself. And if that is true, the most important question is no longer, where are the aliens? It is, will we survive long enough to become one?